Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here, coming at you today in Clash Royale. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys just in kind of a shorter episode than usual about my 3 absolute favorite supplementary or complementary cards in the game right now. That is to say, they're not going to be the win condition of your deck, but they're going to be 3 big cards that are going to help you achieve your goal of hopefully 3 crowning or at least winning against your opponent. So the 3 cards are these 3 here at the end of my deck. It's going to be the Ice Golem, the Tombstone, and the Mega Minion. I think those are the 3 best complementary cards in the entire game. I think they fit well in almost any single deck. So today, I'm just going to hop in this random tournament that I started with Bren Chong, and we're just going to kind of play a few matches here right off in the beginning. Hopefully we win, and I just want to talk and focus mainly on these 3 cards as part of the overall deck. Now, this was the deck that I did use in the King's Cup tournament. I hope you guys tuned in. Thank you so much for cheering me on. I got a lot of feedback from you guys, really overwhelming, and just great to have you guys as part of my community and me part of yours. I feel like we really have a family over here at CWA, and what I really want to do is recap that tournament from my perspective. You guys might know that I lost to the winner, Yao Yao, who is like some sort of a Clash Royale cyborg killer machine beast. I don't even know what to say about that dude, but he wrecked me. But I was playing this deck, and I was having a lot of success with this deck. Earlier that day, I was beating some of the other YouTubers. I was beating some of the top players who were actually there just in friendlies. So I was doing pretty well with it. I actually won a grand challenge with it that morning. Granted, I did have 2 losses, but still doing pretty well with the deck, and I just got absolutely wrecked. Now, this is the same deck, but I know most of you probably don't have Graveyard, so I'm not going to do a whole big, long episode just of me playing this deck that most of you probably can't use. Instead, I do want to focus on those 3 cards that I think are probably some of the best cards in the game, truthfully, in the Mega Minion, the Tombstone, and the Ice Golem. And before we get to that, I did want to mention again the King's Cup. I do want to do a whole recap, kind of from my perspective, what I was thinking, what I was doing, talking about some of the top decks and stuff like that. But I do want to make sure I get permission from YouTube first. I don't want to use that footage and to kind of commentate and talk over it without permission and then just get the video taken down. So that's going to be the game plan for that. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully I will have that sometime this week. But today, again, this is a perfect example right now. You can see one of the many reasons I love the Ice Golem is because you can combo it with the Zap spell and take out a minion horde, and that's a 5-for-4 elixir trade, and that is OJ.
A huge positive elixir trade.
Okay, well, maybe not huge, but definitely the type of value that you're looking for, especially in a beatdown deck where value can at times be hard to come by. So with this deck, what I'm trying to do, obviously, is get my Golem to the tower intact, or at least get the tower's attention, and then I'll drop the Graveyard if I have enough elixir. Before I talk a little bit more about all the other cards that we want to talk about today, just one quick word on the Graveyard in case you are lucky enough to have it. By the way, do any of you guys have Graveyard watching in? Let me know in the comments. But if you do have Graveyard, don't overuse it like I just kind of did there right now. You know, you want to make sure that you use Graveyard when you have not just 5 elixir available, but ideally at least 7 elixir, because you want to combo it with a Zap spell, or if you're running arrows, you want to have those ready, or even Fireball. You kind of want to have 9 elixir available because the Graveyard by itself is actually really easy to counter. Just archers can counter a Graveyard pretty successfully. You can maybe get 1 or 2 little hits on that tower, but that's about it. And not only are you not going to be able to counter this minion horde, for example, but I'm in trouble the other end, the opposite side. But luckily, I have this combo again. Zap and Ice Golem will kill all those minions, and now I just have to deal with the Goblin Barrel. So I'm looking pretty good here. I'm going to go ahead and put the Tombstone down right here. The Tombstone is absolutely amazing in the meta right now. Tombstone is in almost every single deck. It might be the most popular card in the game, just in terms of popularity. I'll have to check Woody's popularity Reddit post. So what I'm doing right here is I'm trying to spam this Graveyard down real quickly, but this is the ideal time to use Graveyard when you're kind of very late in the match and you do have the Zap spell available, just to buy you a second to get that damage done to the tower. But back to the Tombstone just briefly here. The Tombstone, why is it so popular as compared to, say, the Cannon? I mean, the Cannon used to be huge in the game, and now the Cannon is seeing less and less gameplay. It's certainly not extinct in the game, but in the top meta decks, you're seeing a lot of Tombstone. They do really well in beatdown decks, and beatdown is absolutely dominating the game. I'm speaking about Golem decks, I'm speaking about Lava Hound decks, and of course, Giant decks are still around. Speaking of Giant decks, we're going against one right now. So why is it so awesome against these beatdown decks? Well, it's good defensively and offensively. Defensively, it can distract the tank and obviously spawn the skeletons to kill the tank as well after it's actually destroyed. And you know what, guys? The Tombstone is amazing offensively in these decks because it provides that steady stream of skeletons to get in the way of their tanks and provide that offensive support in combination with the Golem. Like, for example, right here, if my Tombstone had not been destroyed and the Golem got to that tower, those skeletons would actually take down the tower. I wouldn't even need the graveyard. And it looks like the Golem is going to get to the tower, at least the Golemites are, and I'm going to back it up with 2 more additional archers. Now, archers might be my honorable mention for the best supplementary cards in the game because these archers are absolutely insane. I like archers more than the princess. It's 100% official right now, unless you're playing, you know, maybe a bait cycle deck where you want your opponent to use their arrows or the direct damage on your princess. But in these tank decks, I strongly prefer archers. Archers do a great amount of point damage, and there's 2 of them, and for only 3 elixir, they're a great bargain. They're just absolutely fantastic. So one of the 3 cards that we have not talked about yet in this video is the Mega Minion. Before we get to the Mega Minion, probably one of my favorite cards in the game right now, I do want to give some final thoughts on the Ice Golem. The Ice Golem is underused, I feel. The splash damage got increased, got buffed last update by 73%. 73% buff on the splash damage. It can now kill skeletons upon its destruction, and like I pointed out numerous times here as we pick up another win, numerous times it can also kill minions, which is great in combination with the zap spell. So, you know, obviously you'd rather use arrows against minions. It only costs 3 elixir, but so often in these decks, you can use either, it could be a 3 musketeer deck, it could even be a bait or hog cycle deck, and it works absolutely beautifully in siege decks, protecting the expo. The Ice Golem just has so much utility. It's a mini tank. It's cheaper than the Knight. Granted, has a way fewer HP, but you can even put it like I am right now in front of a few archers. It tanks just long enough to drop your graveyard. I'm going to combo it with a zap spell here, and this should do a decent amount of damage. Granted, it's not going to live that long, the Ice Golem, but a nice 500, 300, 400 HP off that tower. Not too bad. Good defense on my opponent's part there, and I was late on the graveyard. Never be late on the graveyard. If you're going to be late, at least put it right in front of your tower. Don't be too aggressive there with the placement, placing it all the way in the other lane. Of course, that would be ideal, but don't make the same mistake I did, guys. As you guys probably know, I'm pretty crappy at commentating and playing at the same time. I don't know how some of these Twitch streamers do it. Very jealous of them. But anyway, let's move on to probably my favorite. I don't know, it might be a toss-up. I love the Ice Golem, honestly, guys. It's quickly rising up there in my top cards in the entire game. I like the Tombstone, of course. I mean, no one's favorite card is a Tombstone, though. But Mega Minion is incredible. It's like a flying P.E.K.K.A. Obviously not quite the amount of DPS, but it's flying. That's a huge leg up as it can't be targeted by ground units. And it's only 3 elixir compared to 4. So, I mean, it goes without explaining why the Mega Minion has a home also in almost every single deck. So, if you're struggling with your deck right now, no matter what you're playing, again, you could even be in mid-level arenas and you're just having issues, maybe consider adding one of these 3 cards. Add the Ice Golem, get that splash damage, and take advantage of the slowing effect that it has when it's destroyed, when it dies. And also, it's perfect for kiting units to just buy you a little bit extra time when placed right in the middle of the map. So take advantage of the Ice Golem, add maybe a Mega Minion into your deck if you're not playing it, maybe even if you have it under-leveled. I would still use a level 6 Mega Minion in my tournament or Grand Challenge deck if I had it. So, I mean, I think it's that powerful in the game that you can actually still use it effectively even if it's under-leveled. It still does a decent amount of damage, and especially in these beatdown decks like the one I'm playing today. By the way, guys, if you want to use a deck like I'm playing today and you don't have either the log or the graveyard, you can use lightning in place of graveyard, and you can use fireball in place of log. Fireball is actually better in a lot of ways, especially if you do have the graveyard but you don't have the log. Not sure how many of you would actually be in that situation, but if that's the case, it's actually a really great trade. I'm actually playing a variation of this deck as well, using the Fireball because you can combo it beautifully to take out a Musketeer or a Witch and do damage to the tower as well. So guys, do you agree with me? Do you disagree? What do you think of my top 3 complementary cards inside the game? Guys, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you guys listening and watching right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and as always, take care, guys.